Welcome to the Deep Dive, the shortcut to being well-informed. We take the stack of articles and research you've shared, and we pull out the absolute essential knowledge.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into the fundamentals of physical expression. Specifically, this genius system developed by Rudolf Laban back in the mid-20th century.
Right.
Laban's work is, sure, it's foundational for training performers, but it's really a kind of universal language for human movement.
And our goal today is to give you the cheat code to his most famous analytical tool, the 8 effort actions. And this isn't just theory for actors, it's a way for you to understand, moment to moment, how your physical movement fundamentally translates into meaning and character and psychological state.
It's huge. We're basically bridging that massive gap between what you feel on the inside and what you do on the outside.
Okay, so where do we start?
To even start that conversation, we have to begin with Laban's most essential primary concept. It's the kinetic difference between movement that is bound and movement that is unbound.
Bound versus unbound. Okay, let's unpack that. So an example, think about holding your hand up high and then just letting it fall.
Yeah.
Gravity takes over completely. That simple, uncontrolled release, that's what Laban calls unbound or free movement.
That's it. That's the default state of just letting go. Now, contrast that. Hold your hand up again, but this time, you control its entire descent all the way down to your side.
I see.
That restraint, that, channeling of energy even when moving downwards, that is bound movement.
And what's fascinating is how that sense of control or that lack of control, it just instantly colors the context of what's happening.
Oh, immediately.
In a dance studio, for instance, the sources describe ballet as the ultimate example of bound movement. Everything is precise, restrained.
Channeled.
Yeah, channeled toward an external aesthetic.
Exactly. The energy is contained, even in the biggest leap. Now, modern dance, on the other hand, it often intentionally plays with that spectrum. It cycles between that controlled, bound precision and then moments of explosive, completely free, unbound release.
It's a dynamic interplay.
Right.
And you can see the shift happening in life, too. I mean, picture a formal event, a state dinner, or a very formal wedding ceremony.
Sure.
The movement of the guests is generally proper, contained, it's bound.
Right. But then you watch what happens later at the reception.
Totally different.
Totally different. Once the formalities fade, the movement of the crowd shifts entirely. The control loosens, people start expressing themselves without restraint, and the whole atmosphere just becomes fundamentally unbound.
So this foundational awareness, this spectrum between control and freedom, that's the absolute starting point for analyzing any human action.
It is. That concept sets the stage. But now we move from the spectrum of control to the actual, building blocks. This is where Laban turns movement into a sort of quantifiable equation. He identified 3 absolutely independent categories that define any motion.
And these are all defined by polarities, right? Like opposing forces.
Exactly. Opposing forces, which when you combine them in different ways, they create the whole texture of an action.
So the first category is direction, or I guess how you use space.
Yes, space. And the question is the action direct or is it indirect?
Okay, so direct movement is linear, focused, single-minded.
Like marching straight toward a goal. It has a pinpoint trajectory. Now contrast that with indirect movement, which it meanders. It curves and weaves around.
Like trying to navigate a crowded market with too many shopping bags.
Perfect example. It lacks that single focus.
Okay, so that's category 1. The second category is time. And this seems simple enough. Is the movement sustained, so it takes its time, or is it quick? Sudden.
And you can show the entire spectrum just with your hand.
Right.
A slow, deliberate wave is sustained.
Right.
But a sudden flick of the wrist, like you're shooing a fly, that's quick.
Got it. And the third category is weight, which is often interpreted as, intention or force.
Intention is a great word for it. Is the action heavy or is it light?
So I'm picturing throwing a dart, that tiny, almost effortless flick of the wrist that's clearly light.
Very light force. Now compare that to the deep-seated effort required to throw a baseball hard.
Yeah.
The wind-up, putting your whole body into it. That carries heavy weight.
Wait a second. So you're telling me these 3 categories, direction, time, and weight, are entirely separate? That feels almost revolutionary.
It's the key.
I mean, I can perform a heavy, forceful action, but make it slow and sustained, and it's still heavy. It doesn't just automatically become slow and weak.
That separation is the real trick, and it's why the system works. They're independent variables. So, for example, if you take that heavy baseball throw, which is normally quick,
right,
and you force yourself to perform that same effort, but sustained over, say, 30 seconds,
yeah,
You haven't changed the fundamental intention or the strength of the effort, only the timing. The strength remains heavy.
And that independence is what allows actors to find nuance, to separate force from speed or focus from lightness.
That's it.
So that immediately gives you, well, a lot more possibilities for expression. If we have three categories, each with two poles, direct, indirect, quick, sustained, heavy, light, the math gives you exactly 8 possible combinations.
And each one of those combinations defines one of Laban's core effort actions.
Okay, so to make this matrix real for you, for the listener, let's look at 2 clear extremes. 2 actions that really define the boundaries of the system.
Good idea.
We can start with maybe the most aggressive, decisive action, the punch. This combines heavy plus direct plus quick.
Yes. It's the essence of sudden, forceful, targeted action. It's what you use to hammer a large nail or when you're throwing a stone hard and straight.
It's all about impact, certainty, immediate completion.
Exactly. Now let's travel to the complete opposite corner of that matrix. If you combine light plus indirect plus sustained, you get the float action.
The float.
It's the absence of force, the lack of certainty and direction, and the taking of unlimited time. Picture a dandelion puffball just drifting aimlessly through the air.
Carried by gentle, shifting breezes.
Right. It meanders, it lacks force, and it's completely unhurried. That combination of those 3 qualities, that defines the unique texture of the float.
Okay, so here's where it gets truly transformative, especially for a performer. This is the moment the physical geometry meets the psychological texture.
Mm-hmm.
Laban's system shows that by performing these pure, distilled movement actions, you can actually access and embody deeply specific situational or emotional contexts.
And the research really showed this. Simply performing the movement often unlocked these unexpected emotional insights for the students. It was far beyond what they thought would happen.
Let's focus on one. The ring action. Physically, ringing it's like twisting a wet towel.
Good visual.
Go
So
ahead.
because it's twisting, it's indirect.
Okay.
It requires you to hold and maintain that tension so it's sustained. And it's hard work. It demands strength, so it's heavy.
So indirect, sustained, heavy.
Right. And when students physically embody that twisted, heavy, sustained movement, they immediately access these powerful internal states. Not just generalized sadness, but highly specific self-reproach.
Like what? Exactly.
Feeling guilty, feeling profoundly ashamed of yourself, or having that agonizing worry about failing a grade or losing someone.
That's wild. But why shame specifically? I mean, why not external rage? What is it about the indirect, sustained quality that taps into that sense of self-reproach, that gut-wrenching shame, rather than something aimed outward?
Well, I think it's the indirect nature. Rage and lashing out are often direct. You strike straight at the target.
Like punch.
But ringing is in returning, contorted. The indirectness suggests being coiled up, struggling with something internal that you can't quite get a handle on. And the sustained quality, that turns it into an ongoing agony, not just a quick burst of anger.
Yeah.
The form is the feeling.
The form is the feeling. Okay. So now let's jump to a totally opposite mood with the flick action. Indirect, quick, and light.
Physically, it's a sudden, playful, almost nervous action. It's often used in comedy to show flightiness.
Then emotionally.
Emotionally, students connected this to being excited, restless, unable to sit still. It's the energy of pure, giddy, anxiety-like Tigger, just bouncing from place to place with no focus.
The power of the heavy actions is also really immediate. Take the slash. It's indirect, quick, and heavy.
Yeah, if the punch is direct, the slash is the angry, sweeping blow. Emotionally, that was immediately linked to anger, being so furious that you lash out blindly at anybody, whether they deserve it or not.
So you're heavy and fast, but your focus is sweeping, not pinpointed.
Exactly. It's the ninja free-for-all fight energy, not the sniper's single shot.
Okay, one more. The glide action. Direct, sustained, and light.
Glide is smooth, easy movement with a clear focus, but with no force. One student described imagining this action when going toward your love, and the movement that came out was light flowing, almost comical, sailing on feet of wings.
It conveys competence and ease, but absolutely no pressure or confrontation.
None. And the crucial discovery here is the reversibility of this psychological connection. It works both ways.
So the act of performing the ringing movement provoked the feeling of shame or a moral dilemma.
Exactly. And conversely, when students were given a powerful moral dilemma, say, the choice between stealing $200 for rent or being evicted,
that agonizing scenario,
it immediately provoked a twisted, contorted, sustained, ring-like movement in their bodies. The inner tension manifested directly as a heavy, indirect, sustained effort.
Wow. So that shows this deep symbiotic relationship. Your inner state translates into a physical form, and you can reverse it. Adopting a physical form immediately gives you access to the corresponding emotional state.
With that deep awareness, the students then advance to applying these actions to neutral text. And this is where the rubber really meets the road.
So they took a blank slate of a scene. Hi, how are you? I'm going now. Goodbye.
Totally neutral. And they use the effort actions to clarify and even fundamentally redirect the meaning.
In their first attempt, the goal was clarification through high contrast. They set up a scenario. Richard is worried because his TV is about to be repossessed, and Steve is the repossession man.
Okay, so Richard was assigned the ringer action. Heavy, indirect, sustained.
Which instantly locked in his internal state. He cares deeply, that's the heavyweight, but his effort is all twisted up and useless.
Right. That's the indirect and sustained agony. He's stuck.
And Steve, the repossession man, he was assigned the glider. Light, direct, sustained. He's just efficient. He knows his path. He's detached, just trying to get the job done easily.
And the effort actions didn't just add a little decoration. They amplified the whole tension of the scene. Richard felt very moody, tense, frustrated, and anxious because that ringing effort forced him to embody the struggle.
While Steve's light, gliding detachment made Richard's heavy struggle feel even more pathetic.
Exactly. The actions clarified and heightened the existing circumstances.
But then they went for the redirection. This is the truly exciting part. Same basic circumstances, but totally different characters.
The instructor kept the high-level situation. Richard is still dealing with reviews. Steve still needs to finish his work, but switched their effort actions completely.
So Richard was switched from that agonizing ringer to the flicker, light, quick, and indirect.
So instead of a desperate man, he suddenly became giddy and excitable. Same problem, but now he's a character who can just blow off a bad review.
He's still anxious, but his anxiety manifests as this frenetic, light energy.
Right, and Steve was switched from the light, easy glider to the puncher, heavy, quick, and direct. So to justify that forceful, sudden effort, Steve became uptight, aggressive. He added a little personal stake. He anticipated trouble and was ready to use force and speed to end the interaction instantly.
And the result was stunning. The students noted that the change created practically a different scene. While the characters kept their external objective checking reviews, finishing the job, their approach, their strategy, their whole emotional state changed completely.
All based on the assigned effort action. It proved that the effort action isn't just some external flavor you add on top. It is the core of the character's motivation.
So Laban's system provides the ultimate tool for an actor. It helps you justify every movement, ensuring that the physical form is in perfect, inseparable harmony with the character's internal objective and circumstance.
It's the enforcement of that essential connection between meaning and form. The movement itself dictates the meaning.
Absolutely. So for you, the listener, the value of this system is enormous for developing instant physical awareness and control. It elevates your everyday experiences, the speed of your steps, the focus of your gestures, the intensity of your voice.
It provides a profound vocabulary to tie your psychological state directly to physical form.
We've just learned that if you change only one element of movement, say, switching from light to heavy, while keeping the external circumstance exactly the same, the entire character and relationship dynamic shifts.
So a final thought. Consider your own daily life. What is your dominant effort action? Are you typically a sustained heavy presser in your meetings? Or are you maybe a quick indirect dabber when you handle tasks?
And if you were to intentionally switch your dominant effort action for your very next interaction, say, moving from a heavy sustained effort to a light, quick flick how would that immediately alter your own mental state? And consequently, how would it influence the outcome of that relationship? That understanding gives you immediate control over how you navigate your world.